Good evening and welcome to the July 13th, 2021 Northern Lebanon School District Board meeting. I now call this meeting to order. This meeting is being recorded. Thank you for joining us this evening. We are happy to welcome public attendance in person once again. At this moment, Director Sekelic will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
Please stand for the flag salute and remain standing for a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Martin, may I have a roll call, please?
Yes. Gray.
Here.
Erdman.
Here.
Fowler. Marlowe.
Here.
Murray.
Here.
Klein.
Here.
Kellick. Nom.
Here.
Bucks.
Here.
Director Fowler absent. All other members are present.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I would like to announce that the board met in executive session on June 21st to discuss personnel matters. On today, July 13th, the board had a board training presentation, immediately followed by an executive session to discuss confidential student matters. Moving on to item 2, may I have a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
Motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? This is a unanimous roll call vote. Your vote will be recorded in the affirmative unless you say nay or I abstain. The motion has passed. Item 3 would normally be presentations, but we do not have any presentations this month, so we will move on to item 4, and that is our superintendent's report. Dr. Messinger?
Yeah, we're going to start by recognizing one of our students that's here tonight. I promise that I keep it minimal and you won't have to sing or dance or anything like that. But Brooke Beamisdorfer is with us, and Brooke was in the FFA speech contest. Am I saying this correctly? And you finished 4th place in that contest. It's my understanding you may have done it from the softball field. Well, I'll tell you what, just to make sure everybody at home that's listening, we have about 40,000 viewers. Why don't you come up here to the podium? Because I want you to tell us a little bit about what you had to speak about. And then I think you're going to do the creed for us. Is that correct? Hit the button and the button should pop out. And then,
Okay.
Okay.
I believe that to live in other agricultural pleasant. I know the joys and association. I believe in leadership from ourselves and respect. Agriculturalists to serve our own less dependence on them, more power in bargaining, honest wealth. Less need of charity. That American agriculture can and will hold true to our national life. That I can exert an influence. Solid. So that's basic.
Oh, wait, we gotta give that.
Essentially, it's a lot of it's your speaking, that's all. And any words you miss will and they ask you so foundation. All of its advice, occupation. The FFA teaches that's not only
That's cool. What a fantastic job. We're very, very, very proud of you. We'd like to recognize you in our minutes tonight, Dr. Bucks. And just keep up the good work. You're going to be at the fair? Okay, good. Well, all right, good. Well, we hope to see you there. And we know you were on a softball field. Are you going to be on a soccer field this fall? Not that I'm personally interested, but I am. So, all right, good. Well, thank you so much for coming. You are welcome to stay, but I'll be honest, the rest is pretty boring. So you guys are welcome to go. I know you're busy, but thank you so much for coming tonight. Very, very much appreciate it. Great job. On a not quite as exciting note, I have two other topics I just wanted to talk about briefly. One is on the board agenda. It is the health and safety plan that is required for our submission by the end of July. It is a first draft. And I expect that as we continue to get guidance, we may have to have further discussions down the road. I know the big topic that people are asking about currently is masks. And the plan, if you read it currently, the masks are optional, and we are not requiring vaccinations. However, a lot of you may know that CDC came out with guidance, I believe it was Thursday afternoon or Friday, which they tend to do to ruin my weekend. PDE came out with guidance right after that, basically saying we would be hearing from them soon. Stock and Leader, I'm assuming, is waiting to hear from them before we hear from. But right now, our plan includes coming back to school full time. Masks will be optional. We'll continue our cleaning procedures, as we have in the past. But that's currently what we have that you'll be voting on tonight. The second thing is just a construction update. Tomorrow at 2:00, we'll be opening bids on the elementary school. Really, really excited. I think we have really good coverage in terms of our bidders. I think overall, I want to say with all the different phases, there were about 30 people involved. Does that sound about right? Brad's talking, but I think about 30 people involved with the different aspects. So excited to be opening those tomorrow and see where our numbers lie. And then we'll be bringing you a name in August to approve, and hopefully with groundbreaking probably either the last week of August, probably more like the first week of September. So we get all the paperwork turned in and be doing that. So in addition to that, I started showing some plans. The phase 1 we started of the athletic turf field. That'll be done and ready to go for the fall. But as you know, we didn't want to demolish the concession stand until after the football season over. So phase 2, the design I had back in the boardroom, you're certainly welcome to take a look at that. But for those of you who don't get into architectural plans, there'll be a 3D visual next board meeting for you to look at. So, and that'll be on the website too. So that's an update on the construction. And for now, that's, yeah. It's part of phase 2. Yep. Yeah, substantial completion August 16th, 17th, Brett. What is it? 25th. The lights will actually potentially be a change order. The lights were not scheduled to be until phase 2 because the electricity is going to be tied into the new concession stand. And we don't currently have the power to be able to do the lights. However, it has been recommended by both Fidavia and Crabtree that we look at ECI Construction kind of brought it to our attention that drill the holes, get the bases, and get the poles up now, run the electrical conduit now while we have everything torn up. The lead time on the lights right now is about 8 weeks, and it's hard to get them. So they're recommending we go ahead and we look at those now, but they won't be able, we won't, unless I joked with Mason today, we're going to put him on a bike and have him pedal to turn them on, but they won't be hooked up until the concession stand's finished. But to save some money down the road, we'll run it by the change order committee at the next change order meeting, which is a week from this yesterday. Yep. Did I catch all those questions? They'll start that work October 29th, I think is our last football game. And then once that's done, they're looking to start that project.
By doing the advanced work on the lights, do you think that will save a little money on phase 2 then?
Yeah, that's the belief. In addition to that, there were supposed to be 2 lights in the middle between the 2 fields that we don't believe are necessary for the practice field. While we anticipate youth organizations using it in the evenings, it's not going to be a competition type of field where high school kids are kicking the ball around. So the 6 lights that we currently have in, will light up the practice field sufficiently for any practices that they want to have in October. A lot of times it's getting dark by 6 or 6:30. So we're going to save a little money with removal of 2 lights, and then hopefully save a little money by getting them in now. Labor wise, I think we're just talking about the cost of not having to run conduit. But the cost of lights keep going up. So we got a price and we'll put that on for now.
Moving on to item 5, old business. Is there any old business for discussion this evening? Then moving ahead to item 6, that is our public comment session. Those wishing to make public comment were asked to submit that request by 4:00 this evening via email or online form. Tonight, I have been informed that we have 1 public comment. That is Ms. Martha Blaug. Ms. Blaug, please state your name and address before speaking, and you have 4 minutes for public comment.
Hi, my name is Martha Blau. I live at 112 Racehorse. in Jonestown. Good evening. I'm concerned about the health and safety plan. I know we mentioned it a little bit, but I'm looking not just when we open school, but a little further. I'm going to talk fast 'cause I'm trying to get this through in 4 minutes. I do have a couple statistics. If you're familiar with the VAERS website, I'm going to talk about vaccines first and why kids shouldn't get the vaccine, or why it's dangerous. I'm listing here some of the adverse events. They update this every Friday, but this past Friday they had 438,000 adverse events. I'm going to round some of these numbers. 26,000 hospitalizations, 7,000 disabled, 3,000 heart attacks, 2,000 myocarditis reactions, 985 miscarriages, and over 9,000 deaths. And the last time we had a vaccine that had over 50 deaths, it was stopped. So right now we're at 9,000 deaths so far with vaccines. I'm going to talk about the masks. I have 2 documents, but I'm going to email these to you because there's no way I can get through all of them. One lists the University of Florida and what they found with 11 participants between the age of 6 and 11 and the amount of bacteria. They found 11 different pathogens after students wore a clean mask, both surgical and cloth, after 5 to 8 hours. And then I have this is more of a lengthy one, but this has 29 references. So this isn't something I wrote, but this references the CDC, Dr. Fauci, the United States Code. So there's a lot of information in here, and maybe the school board can use it to defend their position. There's the first section that says masks are ineffective in many ways. They harm. And I think a lot of us have heard that. So I'm going to skip to the second section, which talks about, get there. It says informed consent is required for investigational medical therapy. So this, I would assume, applies to masks and vaccines. It says a statute granting the FDA the power to authorize a medical product of emergency use requires that the person being administered the unapproved product be advised of his or her right to refuse administration of the product. The right to avoid the imposition of the human experimentation is fundamentally rooted in the Nuremberg Code of 1947. Also, illegally mandating an investigational medical therapy generates liability. Promoting use of a non-FDA approved emergency use authorized mask is unwarranted and illegal. This mandate is in direct conflict with, well, it's not a mandate anymore, but the mandate they had was in direct conflict with United States Code Section 360 BBB, and I'll send this to you. It lists exactly where that's stated, which requires the wearer to be informed of the option to refuse the wearing of such device. And so I had, like I said, this is all reference. It's nothing that I wrote, and I will send this to you so you have it. And I just want you to take into consideration what parents are wanting, and future into the winter, what is that going to look like if their cases rise? Is this going to change? And are some of my concerns. I know my kids want to go to public school. They don't want to be pulled out, but at some point I've heard many parents talk about pulling their kids if it comes down to that, if they're still, if things change with the medical plan. And I wanted to mention real quick, I saw another school plan, and for the health and safety plan, they have to list masks and what they're going to do as far as masks. And they just simply wrote optional or not mandatory. And then another one I saw that I liked was the transportation. They just mentioned regular cleaning and proper ventilation. There was nothing about masks on public transport or anything like that. So there's a lot of leeway with the school board. And I just hope you take that in consideration. And I hope you heard some of that I mentioned about some of the legal ramifications of what happens if we are mandating medical things that aren't medically approved yet. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. On to our items for board action this evening. It should be noted that public notice was given for this meeting in accordance with Act 84 of 1986. We will move on, and I will say that we are having one board meeting this month, and therefore we are presenting all of the items prior to and discussing those items prior to the vote. Moving on to item 8.
Just one item for number 8, and that is the minutes of the June 1st board meeting.
May I have a motion to approve the minutes from the June 1st board meeting?
Motion to approve the minutes from the June 13th meeting.
May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? This is a unanimous roll call vote. Your vote will be recorded in the affirmative unless you say nay or I abstain. The motion has passed. Moving on to item 9, that is budget and finance.
All right, item A is just our vouchers and cash transactions in the general fund. Item B is an MOU. Some of these MOUs are our annual ones. This is our MOU between the district and London County Head Start for the upcoming year. We also have item C, which is a student service agreement with New Story for the upcoming year. We also have item D, which is our student assistance program between Empower the Mind and Northern London for the upcoming year. All of those are repeat things for us. You remember a couple of weeks ago, I talked to you about MedEd's desire to install a telephone pole. Actually, they're doing several along the road in front of Fredericksburg Elementary. One of them is at the edge of our property. So they are requesting the right-of-way for that installation of the new pole. A technology tool that we have for our Eureka Math program at the elementary school called Zern, something we used last year with COVID. We'd like to renew this agreement. I think we used the free version, but because we were piloting last year, we're going to go ahead and purchase Zern this year as a resource for teachers who believe that can help them with the program, particularly utilize technology and get us some good data from that. So the agreement with them for the upcoming year, and then the student service agreement between Wood Services and Northern Lebanon for the upcoming school year.
Would anybody like any clarification on any of those items? I do have one question before we move to motion, and that is on item F. Is that a one-time purchase fee, or is that a fee that we will see every year? That's with the Eureka Math.
Oh, for Zern. We got it for, I want to make sure I said 1 year right now at this point. The way Eureka Math is actually a free curriculum. We didn't have to buy the books. We didn't have to buy the curriculum. We printed everything for our teachers and our students. A lot of it's online. What has happened is several different companies actually have used this math curriculum, the free math curriculum, and developed resources and products that go along with it. Before we make a long-term commitment, we want to really dig into it, what's paid for, and make sure it's worth our money. It's not a substantial amount of money for a computer program, but before we made any long-term commitment, we're going to try it out for this year.
That makes sense. May I have a motion to approve items?
Can I just,
yes.
one quick question on item E with the right-of-way from MedEd. It gives them the ability to remove facilities and vegetation. Is there anything that they have to remove on our property, or is it just a strict? I'm looking at the map and I don't see anything.
No, it's down by the sidewalk.
Okay, thanks. Yep, sorry.
May I have a motion to approve items 9.1A through G?
Motion to approve item 9.1A through G.
May I have a second? Is there any discussion? This is a unanimous roll call vote. Your vote will be recorded in the affirmative unless you say nay or I abstain. The motion has passed. Moving on to item 10, that is buildings and grounds, but we do not have any items for board action on that tonight. So we move to extracurricular, that is item 11.
I have an updated list of some fall coaches, assistants and things that we've filled in for you. Also approved the freshman class to travel to Washington, D.C. next May. Class advisors for that are Mr. Byler and Mr. Getz. Approved the athletic trip to LVC for football camp. That is an overnight trip that the football team is going to be going on this year. And also the musical Wizard of Oz. We had attempted to do that. It started actually March 12th. It started. I went to opening night and then it was done. So in lieu of a senior class play, we are going to recast, and we have the sets and we have a lot of other items. And we're going to redo The Wizard of Oz for a little bit here in the fall and then do a separate musical in the spring.
Would anybody like clarification on those items? May I have a motion to approve items 11-1A through D?
Make a motion to approve.
May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? This is a unanimous roll call vote. Your vote will be recorded in the affirmative unless you say nay or I abstain. The motion has passed. We move on to curriculum, item 10.
And two items. The first is the ATSI school plan. If you recall, boy, it's been 2 years now. Due to some special education scores, we were in ATSI, and then everyone that was in ATSI stayed in ATSI because of COVID. So we actually have developed a new plan. It includes, and I'm really excited about this, common assessments for our courses that are taught multiple sections. To really be able to get some good data. We'll put it into our data warehouse as students can take them so that we have some statistics to help improve some of our instructional things. And then also the health and safety plan, which I've talked about, is on that as well.
Would anybody like clarification on those items? I have one question about the common assessments. Are they developed in-house or do they come from us to us from an outside source?
We're gonna work on them in-house, depending on the outside source. If we look at an outside source, it would be in a PSSA kind of subject. But there's others that they're really maybe somewhere out there. There's common assessments, but we're going to let our teachers take a crack at this. Because we're going to be able to input it electronically, we'll be able to statistically look and see, okay, is this a good question? You know, 30% of the kids are getting this right. Is that because we haven't taught it yet? Is that because they don't understand it? Or is that just a crappy question?
Yeah.
So we'll have to dig into that a little bit and teach them how to use that. But we're going to start trying to write them in-house.
That sounds good. May I have a motion to approve items 12.1A and B? May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? This is a unanimous roll call vote. Your vote will be recorded in the affirmative unless you say nay or I abstain. The motion has passed. We have several human relations items up for vote this evening.
13.1, professional substitute, letter A, Catherine Furman. 13.2, classified substitute, letter A, Amy Rode. We have a leave request for FMLA from Laura Smith, the guidance counselor. We have some resignations, 13.4, Mrs. Jennifer Hassler, Mr. William Vogt. And we have some employments under 13.5. Letter A, we have a custodial substitute, Lori Baker. Letter B, I am really happy to say that we have a supplemental learning support teacher, which is that position that we created this year. Kenton Belmont has accepted that position. That's sometimes a tough one to find, and I think we got a good one. A staff nurse at Lickdale is Teresa Bai. Secondary music vocal teacher, Autumn Deck. Extended school year personal care / instructional assistant, Tracy Erb. Instructional assistant at Lickdale Elementary, Sydney Tobias. Library assistant secondary, replacing our retiring position, Kyle Wall. And our maintenance, replacing Mr. Rank, who retired, Mr. Wenzel. I think we are one position, a recent resignation away from being completely filled at this point. So we are in really, really good shape at this point in the year. 13.6 is the reappointment of Mr. Lauber, a school police officer, which has to be done annually. And that's the end of human resources.
Does anybody have any questions on those items?
Yes, I will need to abstain from 13.5, letter F.
Mrs. Martin, did you get that? Okay, thank you. Any other comments? May I have a motion to approve items 13.1 through 13.6?
Motion to approve items 13.1 through 13.6 over Mr. Marlowe's objection.
May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? This is a unanimous roll call vote. Your vote will be recorded in the affirmative unless you say nay or I abstain. The motion has passed. Item 14 is an informational item.
In per board policy, when we have groups using the facilities, nonprofit does not need board approval. However, just as an informational item, the 2001 class and Northern London alumni is going to use our high school gym August 19th for their class reunion. So they will be visiting us. They are filling out the FMX paperwork and doing it correctly, but they will be here with us on August 19th.
It's hard to imagine that 2001 was 20 years ago.
Mrs. Martin, you are a 2001 graduate.
Moving on to item 15, that is our reports from our representatives. First up is our new change order committee, and Director Marlowe will be recapping our first meeting on that.
Sure. So this change order committee is around some of the building updates. In this case, it's the field, athletic fields that we're doing. And the first change order was a nice one. It was a $39,000 reduction. And that reduction was due to an adjustment to the size of the field. As they started construction, they realized we had some buried, I think it was gas lines. So we shifted the field a little bit, reduced the size a little bit. We still have by 1 foot, I think I'll say the best field in Lebanon County by 1 foot.
Then the old field was the largest field in Lebanon County and the best field.
And the best field. So that's good news. So that was our first meeting. We're doing these every 2 weeks if there are any change orders needing approval. So that's it.
Thank you. Next is our career and technology representative, Director Klein. Okay. And then our intermediate unit representative, Director Murray.
I also have nothing to report, sorry.
Okay. And then our legislative PSBA liaison, Director Sekelic.
Nothing to report. Everyone should have received PSBA. I think it just takes some time to go through that. If you didn't, let me know.
Okay, thank you. Is there any new business for discussion this evening? Hearing none, may I have a motion to adjourn this meeting? May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? This is a unanimous roll call vote. Your vote will be recorded in the affirmative unless you say nay or I abstain. Motion has passed. This meeting is adjourned. Have a good evening, everyone.